Hello, good morning. It is your host, Emmanuel Isaiah Smith, and today's date is Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. The time is 9:05 a.m., and I am in Miami, Florida. The topic of today's lecture is gangstalking as a product. We all know what a product is. A product is a good or a service that a company, person, or other entity offers for sale on the market. That's exactly what gangstalking is. It is a product. It isn't just simply a cabal of people who seek to dominate society by using a clandestine communication mechanism in which they are able to pester or harass, get rid of, or disenfranchise American citizens as they so choose. This mechanism is offered as a service by connected entities that are state sanctioned to people who need favors done. If there were a commercial for gangstalking, it would sound like this. Do you have a neighbor whose presence in the neighborhood you don't particularly care for? Well, we have people and resources that can get together and find ways to make their living experience in this neighborhood as awful as possible. So you no longer have to be in the vicinity with that neighbor that you can't stand. You got a coworker at the office or at the warehouse or anywhere who's in competition with you for that new promotion that just became available? Do you want to increase your chances of a promotion by disenfranchising your competition? Well, we have a workplace mobbing mechanism that you and some of your other coworkers can participate in to ensure that that pesky coworker of yours either resigns or is fired before they can secure that promotion ahead of you. Is there a person that you knew from years ago that you want revenge on for something they did or said to you? We have an answer for that as well. All we need is that person's name and information, what they look like and what they did to you, and we can set up a clandestine community mobbing mechanism that will follow that person around from state to state until something bad happens with them. That guy you know dating the girl you want? Well, we can set it up to where they run into a relationship problem. At which point, we can signal you to her exact location and you can get her on the rebound. Is your child in competition with another child for that starting spot on the football team? Well, we can arrange for your kid's rival to meet with an injury so that your kid's chances of getting that starting position are greatly multiplied. Is there somebody at your church who you don't feel is honoring the theological precepts that your church requires? Well, we can set it up to where that person meets with some sort of a predicament that will cause it to look as if that person is just not fit to congregate with you in your place of worship. Are you feeling as if your previous acquaintances who you don't feel have enough respect for you need to know how you're doing, and not just how you're doing, but certainly doing better than they are in the grand scheme of things? Well, we can stage a run-in between you and them where you can spark up a conversation with them and let them know how much better in life you're doing than they are. Are you just sick and tired of seeing this couple or that couple or this person or that person in your local park? Well, we can set it up to make it look as if they're just simply up to no good. We can arrange it to where local thugs in the community approach them and act like they're their friends. And we'll make sure it happens in a public place at a time when there's lots of people around to make it look as if those people keep deleterious company. That'll show the whole community what kind of people they are, or at least what kind of people you want them to look like. Is there someone that has gone back on a promise that they made to you, and it has angered you to no end? Well, we can arrange it to where that person meets with some sort of a catastrophic event so that you can revel in their misfortune and feel better about yourself in the process. This service may or may not cost you any money. It depends on who you talk to and when. Some of our handlers and liaisons, undercover operatives and stalkers alike, require some form of payment or favors for their services. We run a multi-state enterprise that operates in all 50 states in the country. That person you're looking to get back at wouldn't stand a chance. Just look at us as state-sanctioned fixers. We can fix any problem. All you have to do is connect with one of our gang stalkers near you. All you got to do is talk to the right person, tell them your problem, and we'll find a solution. The product we offer, called Gangstalking, is clandestine in nature. The person oftentimes meets with their misfortune before they even realize what happened to them. They'll never see it coming, and they'll never be able to quantify that it was you behind it the entire time. Want to speed things up a little bit? Well, we now offer a new community co-op program where you can get together with like-minded people and you can take out your frustrations, angst, or disappointment with other people in groups. That way you feel safe as you are participating in a clandestine gang stalking campaign. We require loyalty. We require silence. And as always, a favor for a favor is the rule. We do a favor for you, you do a favor for us. We accomplish what you want us to accomplish, and everyone goes home happy, except the target. Is there a person you just simply don't like for whatever reason? Maybe he wears a sweater that you don't like. Or maybe he wears his hair in a way that you do not like. Or maybe you just simply don't like this person's presence around you and want to make them feel uncomfortable. Well, you might try our new catalog of domination tactics, which we can teach you live and in person. All you have to do is follow the signal to a gang stalker near you, watch and learn. We offer a classroom experience where you can go somewhere, sit down and have a meal, or maybe hop on your local bus, or maybe go to your local movie theater, or anywhere there's a public gathering, and using our brand new state-of-the-art classroom experience, we can treat any setting as a classroom where you can sit and in real time observe real gang stalkers in action, pestering and annoying targets, and you can pick up a method or two of your own if you prefer to do your own dirt. we offer a one-of-a-kind portfolio of harassment and attack mechanisms, including a premium product that we call intentional germ flinging. And we can assure you that our experienced and licensed liaisons, undercover operatives, and stalkers will give you top quality instruction in how to accomplish your goal of endlessly surveilling and or pestering your target. We would like to let you know that this program has transformed and metamorphosized over the past 60 years, and we have an entire blueprint of disruption mechanisms that we will happily teach you in exchange for your undying loyalty to our interstate cabal and fraternal system. It's not so much a situation where you, as the potential stalker, are thrown to the wolves on your first go-around. We have a highly trained and highly dedicated team of malicious stalkers that are ready 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and twice on Christmas and New Year's, that can assist you in accomplishing your endless, or rather help you satisfy your endless hunger to pester people, some of which you know and some of which you don't. It's not about the third party, it's about you, the prospective stalker. The product that we offer has been time-tested and refined in the fire of state-sanctioned mechanisms. We assure that you, your wife, and your kids will be better off and not worse off by participating in this program. This service that we offers extensive satisfaction guarantees, to where if you're not able to successfully disrupt your target the first go around, we'll offer you a second, third, fourth, fifth, hell, we'll offer you 10 go arounds for absolutely nothing. And we can assure you that if we don't get your target in a frenzy in the first month or the second month, we'll give you the third month at no charge. And if this is one of those tricky targets, like that Emmanuel Isaiah Smith guy, we'll let you pester him for 5, 10, 20 years. However long it takes to get your target in a situation where he just simply can't take it. You've come to the right place. Our state-sanctioned pestering mechanisms are one of a kind, because this clandestine protocol is born and bred right here in the USA. And all of our products are marked with the Made in the USA logo for your personal enjoyment and pleasure. You see, our gang stalkers come from a wide variety of socioeconomic backgrounds and demographics. We're able to find anyone, anywhere, anytime And they'll never see it coming because some of our people are doctors. Some of our people are lawyers. Some of our people are professors. Some of our people are professional athletes. Some of our people are well-known figures. Some of our people are in private security and other similar professions. Some of our people work for the government. Some of our people work for private corporations. And we have people across the racial spectrum that will work with you in your goal of disenfranchising as many targets as you want, not only as a form of stress relief, but as something that you can proudly pass down to your children and grandchildren as a way of ensuring that only the right people can come in contact with them. Those people that they feel enhances their life's journey. We are here to provide that for you, ladies and gentlemen. We offer state-of-the-art. All of us, the liaisons, the stalkers, we will offer you as a bonus for joining our clandestine gang-stalking cabal, the opportunity to use one-of-a-kind, state-of-the-art surveillance and data interception mechanisms. And you don't even have to be a law enforcer. You don't have to be a military person. You could be just some Joe Schmo walking down the street that wants to spy on your neighbor. If you get the right connections, if you get the right people around you, and don't worry, we'll make sure you get the right people, we can actually allow you to watch what your neighbor is doing on the internet in real time. You want to listen to that co-worker's phone call to your boss to make sure that they're not talking about you? Well, we can set it up to where you get a signal when that coworker of yours calls his boss on the phone, and we have listening devices to where you can listen to your coworker's phone call to his boss in real time. That way, if he makes a complaint against you, you'll be ready for it before it even happens. Was there a dust up at your job this week? Do you want to know what the Human Resources Department has to say about the matter beforehand, so you'll be prepared? If the Human Resources Department calls you and asks you, why did you do this? Why did you do that? We can set it up to where you can intercept the emails of your Human Resources Department and read those emails beforehand, particularly the ones that are about you, so you will know in advance how to prepare for that terrifying meeting between you and the Human Resources representatives about that little thing you were accused of at work this week. Were you caught vandalizing your neighbor's property? Well, don't worry. We have a product for that too. We can set it up to where your neighbor meets with some circumstances, if they try to report you to the police, that makes them less credible. That way, if they decide to press charges against you with or without evidence, those charges will be less likely to stick, because we found a way to discredit victims. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a gang stalker, we will offer you at no extra charge the opportunity to discredit victims so that if they do report you, we will be able to make it out as if that person is a total liar and a buffoon. We take care of our people. Our motto here at the Gangstalking headquarters here in the United States is losing is not an option. That is our motto, ladies and gentlemen, here in the United States. Losing is not enough. You think we're going to let that pesky targeted person get the better of you? Get the better of your wife, get the better of your kids, get the better of your family? No, because we are offering good, upright, tax-paying citizens the opportunity to assert yourself in society. Why? Because you ought to dominate society. Anyone in this country that we believe is defective or subversive or too outspoken, or maybe they cling to their rights a little too much, or maybe they've displayed behaviors that we don't think represent American values, we don't want you to worry about a thing. We're going to throw those people right into a gang stalking campaign, and we will ensure that their path through life is as hindered as humanly possible. And don't worry, you all. If you encounter one of these pesky targets and you try to use your domination tactics on them and they try and resist you, well, let's just say later that day, or perhaps even later that week, they'll wish they hadn't resisted you. We take care of our own here in this gang stalking mechanism. It's got roots in COINTELPRO Operation Hoodwink. That ought to make you feel safe as a consumer right there. This is a safe buy. Why? Because it's proven. COINTELPRO Operation Hoodwink disrupted the activities of the Black Panther Party, the Ku Klux Klan, and the American Communist Party. So we have a proven track record of success. Also, we'll have you know that our gang stalking product that we offer on the coattails of national security legislation in this country has disrupted the lives of countless individuals. You remember that McDonald's billboard from the 80s and 90s? Over 100 billion sold? Over 100 billion Big Macs sold? Well, this gang stalking product that we offer has disrupted countless U.S. citizens' trajectories through time and space, and we have increased our satisfaction rate exponentially. We offer a satisfaction guaranteed gang stalking module, and we don't care if the person that you have a problem with is a millionaire or if they live below the poverty line. We always get our man. And you know how we get him? We use a dedicated team of well-trained stalkers that have a combination of electronic earpieces where they get live feeds, and they have a time-tested and proven signaling mechanism that they use between each other and with you, the consumer, to make sure that you get to the right person when you want to get to that person. Failure is not an option here in Gangstalking USA. Losing is not an option here in Gangstalking USA. We don't lose. We never lose. We have an honor system and a social credit system for all of you prospective stalkers. Is there a targeted person or a person that you feel threatened by? Even if that person lives in another state and has not seen you in more than 10 or 20 years and you still feel threatened by that person, we'll arrange for catastrophes to happen to that person and we'll put our patented gang stalker stamp on the matter so that they know without a shadow of a doubt that their actions are unjust. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a state-of-the-art satellite and drone network that is backed by taxpayer money, that has the exact locations of every target in a given area. You want to blow off some steam? Did you have a tough week at work? Are the wife and kids driving you mad? Well, hook up with a local gang stalker and go out on a signaling safari. We have it set up to where you can ride around with one of our well-trained gang stalkers and we'll help you find a target that you can take out your daily frustrations on in any number of ways. We have an entire catalog, an entire menu of domination tactics that we can use against any target in the area at no cost to you. We have a sophisticated social credit system that allows you to build your reputation as a gang stalker as you go along. It's a hierarchical system not much different than the hierarchy that they use in a karate dojo. You start off as a beginner, and as you gain in experience and skills as a gang stalker, eventually you can earn a black belt in the gang stalking mechanism. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you sign up today, we guarantee that within 5 years' time, you will be an expert gang stalker equivalent to holding a black belt in a martial arts discipline. You can take your family anywhere, anytime, anywhere in the entire trajectory of the United States geographic territory. And anywhere you see a signal thrown, you can receive and return that signal. And if your fellow gang stalker points you to the direction of someone that needs to be taught a lesson, you will know exactly how to deal with that person in such a way to where it would never look like menacing, harassment, or intimidation to the untrained eye. And if that targeted person makes a beef with you, All you got to do is signal other stalkers that are nearby, and you can do a gang up. Because as the saying goes, there's strength in numbers, and that is what the gang stalking apparatus in this country operates on. There are strength in numbers. We can manipulate society and take all the guesswork out of success by sticking together, by understanding the signals, and by removing the competition via mobbing mechanisms. Ladies and gentlemen, this commercial is going to change your life. This product called Gangstalking is going to change your life. You will feel more confident than ever. You will feel safer than ever. And you will feel like you belong to a group of like-minded people. Ladies and gentlemen, this program is for you. This program is for your family. This program is a state-sanctioned signaling mechanism that is posing as community-oriented self-governance, ladies and gentlemen. Community-oriented self-policing, ladies and gentlemen. Community-oriented self-service. You'll never have to call 911 again, ladies and gentlemen. We have people you can signal to the scene of a crime, and whether or not they have law enforcement experience, they will observe that scene for you, and they will make it out to be whatever they want it to be. You're trying to get that old pesky acquaintance of your kids in trouble? Someone giving your child a hard time? Well, we now offer a system of juvenile stalkers who also know the clandestine signaling mechanism that is needed to get the job done. And these juveniles are no ordinary kids. As a matter of fact, they mature faster than most other kids. Why? Because they know what it means to be a team. They know how to handle themselves in tough situations. And they also know how to get rid of people they just simply don't want to be around using a clandestine signaling, attack, harassment, and disenfranchise protocol. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Now, I'm going to end the commercial there. But you see the trajectory of that narrative. Okay? Gang stalking, I believe, started off. And when I say started off, I mean after the 1960s. Okay? After COINTELPRO Operation Hoodwink ended. Okay? I think in an attempt, and you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm willing to say this, that it is very possible that the federal establishment of this country saw a need for increased clandestine or covert operations, okay, to not only assist law enforcement in their job, and mind you, a lot of law enforcement officers, uniform law enforcement officers, are not totally aware of all of the clandestine operations that happen in this country. Okay? Uniformed officers, okay, with general arrest powers, operate in a totally separate sphere than plainclothes. Okay, they have two different objectives. Okay, uniformed officers have more of an objective of keeping a presence and investigating identifiable crimes as they happen, after they happen, or they respond to preemptive or preventative phone calls to dispatch to prevent the crime from happening. The plainclothes are more about gathering data, observing, surveilling, monitoring, and relaying that data to the appropriate law enforcement or semi-law enforcement body. Now, gangstalking is more derivative of the plainclothes method of law enforcement than the uniformed method of law enforcement. And most uniformed law enforcers are not 100% aware of various plainclothes operations that may be going on in their very jurisdiction. Now, when you take clandestine gangstalking, for example, it's obviously federal in nature. It's obviously, and when I say federal in nature, this is not me vilifying the federal establishment of the United States. Okay? The federal establishment of the United States has very clear goals, particularly its federal law enforcement or its military apparatus. They have very clear goals with respect to what they do day to day in general society with respect to their covert operations or clandestine operations. Okay, they have very clear objectives as to what they are to do. My assertion is this: that after the 1960s, the COINTELPRO program, it was abandoned by the FBI. It was abandoned by the FBI, but its blueprint survived. And I think that the program morphed into something greater than just a way to surveil the Ku Klux Klan, the Black Panther Party, and the American Communist Party. It morphed into a social engineering platform, a way of allowing citizens to communicate with each other secretly so they could sort of identify suspicious activity or suspicious persons in such a way to where they could disrupt that person's presence without having to call the police over and over and over and over and over again about this issue or that issue. It allows them to handle their own problems in various capacities in a fairly controlled way. But here's the thing about a program like clandestine gangstalking. Let's say it started off post-1960s with just a handful of citizens in every state using these clandestine signaling mechanisms to find and or apprehend persons that may have a tendency or an inclination to do crime. Okay? If you ask me, that's an effective way of dealing with crime. That's an effective way of dealing with crime. There are only about 900,000 law enforcers in this country at any given point in time to police a population of 313 million. So I do believe that the local police need some sort of an assistance from the general community to keep a lid on things. Now, if what we know today to be gang stalking started off as a way of assisting police and letting people sort of handle their own matters rather than and allowing the police to maintain their presence otherwise, I'm not totally opposed to that. We just need clear instruction from our federal, state, and local authorities as to what that program is about. Because mind you, anything that has to do with institutions, including the institution of gang stalking, can be corrupted and it can be perverted. So let's say that clandestine signaling mechanisms started off as a way of disrupting groups like the Ku Klux Klan or the Black Panther Party or the American Communist Party, political dissident groups who ideologically have every right to believe what they want to believe. It's just that at some point the FBI determined these groups to be potentially violent or terroristic in nature. So those groups had to be disrupted, at least in the mind of the federal establishment, for the greater good. And that's where the clandestine mechanism called COINTELPRO Operation Hoodwink came into play, and it very much resembles gang stalking. If you look it up on the FBI.gov website, it very much resembles clandestine gang stalking. So, what you have is a situation where this program, this covert signaling mechanism that may have been used for good reasons at first, or at least for reasons that the federal establishment and various state and local establishments in this country saw as a good way to collect data on people, on businesses, etc., in a way that was undetectable. Maybe for reasons that were noble and just, maybe just because they were nosy, or maybe because they wanted to give somebody the competitive edge. Because keep in mind, when you talk about programs like Echelon, which is a part of the gang stalking mechanism, this program is designed to assist people in ripping off business ideas from other people. So if you see somebody that you know, and maybe they're working on a new book, and you got word of this new book they're writing, or maybe it's a novel, or maybe it's a biography, or maybe it's science fiction, or maybe it's a romance novel that they're writing, and you want to rip that idea off and write your own book, using programs like Echelon, if you get in touch with the right people, you can find a way to hack that person's computer and steal their book right off their computer as they're writing it. Or you can watch them type out the book in real time so you can see them write the book live. So you can rip off that idea and pass it off as your own if you want to. Okay, that patent or trademark that your rival is working on, or that business idea that somebody that you may not like, or maybe somebody you do like, is working on, or maybe somebody is working on a new product or invention or a new service that they want to offer to the general public, and you get word of it, you can use Project Echelon and go into their data situation and rip that project or rip that patent right off their computer, and you can start building it. And if you offer it to the public before them, you've successfully stolen their idea. Okay, there are a lot of businesses in the United States who have gotten their ideas ripped off by third parties who had infiltrated their computer or their phone. Okay, As a matter of fact, there was a situation, if I'm not mistaken, where there was a company that was working on a new wind turbine, which is basically it's like a windmill that generates power. And this company was working on an innovative new wind turbine that it was going to offer to various governments, state governments across the country. And there was a rival company that got word of this company's intentions, possibly through hacking or spying, against this company that's working on this new wind turbine. And they used Project Echelon to spy on conference calls and meetings that this wind turbine company was having, and they were able to rip off every idea that they had coming. And then this rival company made their own wind turbine based on their rival's design that they invented. And they offered it to the public before them and stole all their business. Okay, gang stalking is not just a disruption mechanism. It's not just a way of controlling people. It's not just a way of identifying potentially subversive subjects. It's not just a revenge mechanism. It's not just something you can plug into with your buddies and force an old enemy or an old rival into a deleterious situation. But it's a product. Okay, you can actually help your business succeed with some of this stuff. It's riskier now than it was in times past because people have already identified this activity as clandestine gang stalking. So, as this program becomes more and more mainstream with respect to how people understand it, it's going to be more and more difficult to use its tactics against the general populace or against targeted individuals without people being able to point at you and go, hey, I know what that is. I saw the signal you took. I saw the signal you gave. I can see your movements and the movements of the people around you, and I can see how you're being mobilized towards my exact location. That's clandestine gang stalking. It's more than just a harassment and pestering mechanism. It's a state-sanctioned production module. Okay? You can increase your productivity using some of the mechanisms that are present in clandestine gang stalking. It serves as a enhancement, not only for a person's life, but also for a person's business. I myself do graphic design, and all of my lectures come with a homemade, personalized graphic design image that I myself create from scratch using a number of programs. Sometimes I use CapCut, sometimes I use CapCut Mobile, sometimes I use a program called Video Maker. But I design all my own videos. And all of the designs on my videos are my own creation. Now, I know for a fact that there are persons that are plugged into my clandestine gang stalking campaign that are looking to undermine the quality of my overall project. So what they've done is they have hacked my tablet Well, when I say hack my tablet, they hack the Wi-Fi connection that my tablet is connected to. So if I'm in a shopping mall, or if I'm at a Starbucks, or if I'm at a grocery store, or if I'm at a library, or if I'm at a restaurant, or if I'm any public place where there's a Wi-Fi connection, that Wi-Fi connection can be hacked by a clandestine third party, and they would go ahead and get a live feed from the screen that I'm working on, and they are able to watch me do designs live. You see? But see, that's not really my intention. You see, when an animator or a graphic designer is working on something, they typically do it either by themselves or in the presence of their fellow animators or graphic designers. And the reason that is because graphic design, animation, all these things these are proprietary mechanisms. Okay? When you design something, you design it for an audience. If someone is spying on you as you do your design, then they can pick up ideas as to how to copy that and possibly offer it to the public themselves. Or maybe someone steals a design off your computer, prints it, puts it on a t-shirt and sells it, and doesn't give you any of the proceeds. You see, it's not simply about being nosy. It's not simply about intrusion into a person's privacy. It's not simply about finding out more about a person without them knowing that you know. It is a way of eliminating competition in the workplace. It's a way of eliminating competition in business. It's a way of eliminating competition in politics. There's no telling how many elected officials countrywide use similar mechanisms to spy on their opponents. You see, it doesn't have to be candidate A or candidate B or candidate C all spying on each other personally, but they could have people in their campaign use electronic surveillance techniques to spy on the next person to see exactly what it is they're going to say in that next political debate. What are they going to say in their next campaign speech? What are they going to say at their next town hall event? What are they going to say the next time they get out in front of a crowd of people? You can hack the materials of an elected official's speechwriters so you can find out what they're going to say before they say it, because a good many of politicians have a speechwriter, somebody that they pay to write speeches for them. How about being able to take that speech off of their computer and reading it for yourself before they ever give that speech? Okay, that's some of the types of products that clandestine gangstalking offers people. It is a clandestine signaling and electronic spying mechanism that is for sale. And it isn't just a matter of getting the better of your rival. You can use clandestine gangstalking. I mean, if you're this deep into it, okay, it's difficult to know what the price tag is. It's difficult to know what a person A might pay person B to cause a catastrophe or an accident or a cataclysm in the life of person C. You see? But let's say you're a person that is eyeing a new job in a new department at work. Let's say that you and another candidate are competing for that new job or that promotion or that new offering that your company has. Okay, let's say person A is plugged into clandestine gang stalking and person B is not plugged into clandestine gang stalking. Person A can use the gang stalking mechanism to cause some sort of a catastrophe in the life of person B so that person A has a better chance of getting that promotion. You see, how about the idea that a person, particularly one who's plugged into clandestine gang stalking, can go to somebody and say, I have a little problem, can you fix it? Well, if you've earned enough social credit, that person will tell you, well, of course, where there's a will, there's a way. Why don't you tell me what the problem is, and we'll see how to go about and solve it, and we'll let you know if it's going to cost you anything. Person A says there's a promotion that's up for grabs at work. It's in a new department. It's offering a sparkling new office and a beautiful view. It's going to be more money. It's going to be better benefits. It's going to be more vacation time. It's going to be more influence in the company. It's going to ensure the fast track to success. The retirement benefits are phenomenal. There's a stock option in the company. I want that job. I deserve that job. But I got a pesky coworker, see, who's equally as qualified for that promotion, and they're competing with me, and I just can't afford to lose this promotion. What can you do for me? Well, has this coworker done anything to you or made you upset or angry, or perhaps maybe they've harassed you or your kids or your wife or something? Why are you trying to get rid of this coworker that's equally as qualified for you as that promotion? All the guy has to do is make up something. That's all he has to. That's all he has to do. Gang stalkers don't like evidence. They like narratives. If they hear the right narrative, if they can process the right narrative, they don't need evidence. You can tell them whatever you want to tell them, and they will use that as justification to solve your problem. Okay, no problem. I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to guarantee you that you're going to get that promotion and not your coworker. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, you leave that to us. You've come to us. You're plugged into what we do. We know you know stalking. We know you know the code of silence. You're going to get that promotion and not your coworker, and we guarantee it. So what happens? The next week, your coworker is in a horrible car accident, and now you are the absolute front runner for that job. Why? Well, because that coworker that was competing with that job for you is going to be out of commission for a little while. And you sit back and you think, wow, looks like I went to the right people. Either that or it must have been that prayer my pastor said over me on Sunday, because I told my pastor as well that I was looking for that promotion before I went to the gang stalkers to help me. I wonder if it was God that did that to my coworker. It does say in the Bible that the wealth of the wicked is being laid up for the just. So what I think may have happened was it might have been the hand of God that did it. Maybe it was God that made my coworker get into that car accident so that I would be the front runner for that job. It was either God or the gang stalker. I don't know which one. But I would like to believe that the prayer and the holy anointing and the holy water and all the nice Bible scriptures that my pastor read for me on Sunday, I would like to believe that it was the hand of God that did this. Because I did pray to God that I would get that promotion, and next thing I know, my coworker gets into an automobile accident and can't do anything for a while. That must have been God that did that. But that's part of it, ladies and gentlemen. Some of this is designed to look as if it's the hand of God, but really it's the hand of clandestine gang stalkers. Okay? Derived car accidents are a part of the clandestine gang stalking mechanism. You can arrange for a person to get into a car accident. All you have to do is talk to the right people. Okay? Some of you listening to this program right now have probably yourselves or had loved ones get into car accidents that you thought was just a stroke of bad luck. Oh no, some of those darn pesky drivers just don't know how to drive. I'm so sorry that this person got into a car accident. I'm so sorry that person got into a car accident. I'm so sorry this happened. I'm so sorry that happened. People just need to learn how to be more observant when they're on the road. But that is not what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Car accidents can be arranged. Car accidents can be staged. Car accidents can be derived. You can arrange for a car accident to happen to a person, and it doesn't even have to be in their own driveway. It doesn't have to be in a parking lot. It doesn't have to be in a garage somewhere in a corporate building. You can arrange for somebody to meet with a car accident as they are out handling their business. Okay? That's how precise clandestine gang stalking is. That's how thorough it is. That's how strategic it is. That's how formative it is. That's how sophisticated it is. Okay? I oftentimes talk about in these lectures about synchronized vehicular obstruction of movement. Okay? Gang stalkers can take signals from their automobiles to know where to drive, what turn to make, when to accelerate, when to hit your brakes. All of these things can be signaled to a person. Okay? Whether they're wearing an earpiece that are getting a live feed from a third party, or whether it signals that they're receiving from pedestrians, or whether it signals that they are receiving from other vehicular motorists, or maybe it's communicative signals that they're receiving from somewhere in real time. Okay, somebody in a vehicle, okay, can be signaled to do this or that at this or that time. Make this maneuver, make that maneuver, make this turn, make that turn. All with the reception of a covert or clandestine signal sent from a third party. You see? And when you get the ones that are on the road constantly, that are constantly sending and receiving these signals, they can actually arrange, using this mechanism, a car accident for a person that is not expecting to be in a car accident. You don't know that the event is derived or staged. You just think it was just bad driving on behalf of one person or the other, but it was staged, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? How many people have seen that happen in their own lives? Coincidence after coincidence after coincidence after coincidence after coincidence. There are persons in the clandestine gang stalking mechanism that are in the religious establishment, particularly the Christian establishment, that will point to the Bible for understanding on these matters. Okay? It's not God or Satan. Okay? These are theological or philosophical constructs. Yes, they hold power. Yes, they hold sway in the human imagination and in religion. But it's going to be difficult for you to prove that car accident you got into, or that scuffle you got into with another person, or that boating accident you had, or this injury or that injury, or the time you slipped down the stairs when there were people rushing past you at the subway, etc., etc. It's going to be difficult to prove that catastrophe or this catastrophe, that cataclysm or this cataclysm, that this series of events or that series of events was God, the hand of God or the hand of Satan. Okay? We have to look at gang stalking from a pragmatic perspective. We got to look at it from a practical perspective. We have to look at it from a real world perspective. This is people. Okay, there are no angels or demons out there. This is people. Okay, and we have to approach it from a humanistic perspective. Okay, it's not as if the Creator is going to be mad at you if you look at this clandestine form of social engineering from a practical perspective. If it were any different, we would not have brains in our heads. Okay, we would just have the Holy Spirit guiding us from place to place. That's possible, right? The Bible says that the Creator is omnipotent and all-knowing. So if He wanted us to be perfect in all of our ways all the time, I believe He wants us to strive for perfection, the Creator. But He could manually make us perfect. Just replace every person's brain in the entire world with the Holy Spirit. And at that point, everyone would be perfect in all their actions and in all their words. But we have something called a brain. Okay? And that brain is what you use to make your decisions and your actions. Okay? A person has to consciously decide to take a signaling mechanism to do this or that. Even if it's college classroom cheating, that's a part of the product element of gang stalking. Gang stalking can help you cheat in class. Okay, there are certain classrooms you'll go into where the students are signaling each other as to what the answers on the tests are. There are professors who are paid to signal to the students what the answers on the test are. All right, you can pay people to do some stuff now. So you have a brain, and everything that comes out of your mouth, everything that you perceive with your senses, everything that you do or say is a result of the thoughts that occur in your brain. There are obviously religious elements that say, well, God created the brain. So everything that your brain comprehends should honor that God. Fair enough. If you are created by a deity, there's no reason why you should not honor that deity with your thoughts and actions. But everyone's concept of that deity is going to be different, and some people don't believe in a deity at all. Ultimately, that's not going to be a guarantee that you're going to have a horrible afterlife. No one can physically say or comprehend what the afterlife is like. So the goal is to live your best life while you're here in your mortal shell. Some people believe in a soul, some people don't believe in a soul. I've often said that a lot of my stalkers act and look as if they are soulless. Almost a zombie-like atmosphere, if you ask me. And that's across the demographic spectrum, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, listen, just because I believe the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations assertion that Cuba participates in terrorist activities across the spectrum now doesn't mean I have a negative view of all people. Because think about it, ladies and gentlemen. is there gang stalking and terrorism? All right. Do terror cells use clandestine gang stalking mechanisms? Have terrorist organizations been infiltrated with this? It's possible. All things are possible. All right, there's a psychiatric product that's involved too. That enemy that you hate so bad that you want to so desperately get back at using this clandestine thuggery mechanism. You could say to your stalkers, you know what? Your brothers, your fraternal cohorts, I want something to happen to this guy psychologically. All right, you can arrange for that type of stuff. All right, you can arrange, you can arrange for a person to become embroiled in a fight for their sanity, for their own existence, for their worldview. You know, you can set up a situation where a person is forced to carry the label of a psychotic person simply for coming forward about clandestine gang stalking. Okay, there's no end to the madness. There's no method to the madness. It is a constant silent war that has been waged by one segment of the population against another. Okay, and it's regardless of the success that you have in life. Okay, you can be targeted. You will be targeted. And similarly, it doesn't matter what level of success you've attained in life. On the gang stalker side, you can target and you will target other persons. Or maybe you can target events. You know, is that rival singer who sings similar rock music to you, that pesky rival singer who's putting out albums at the same time you're putting them out so they can try and steal your business from you? All right, that singer, that pesky singer that appears to be ripping off your lyrics that you write, or ripping off your guitar riffs, or ripping off of your persona, or ripping off of your music style, and they're putting out albums that sound similar to yours because they have copied your whole persona. That rival singer is probably using Project Echelon to rip off your ideas. Okay, you might call that intellectual property terrorism. When you're constantly using a clandestine third party to rip off people's business ideas. All right, that's Project Echelon. And yes, stalkers use that against people. They take care of their own, those stalkers. You know, if you're a stalker, you get in contact with the right person. Hey, there's a guy across town. He's a jazz musician, and boy, I tell you something. He's good on that saxophone, but I feel like I'm better on my saxophone. And he's gotten some popularity recently, and I don't think he deserves all that popularity, and I want some of it for myself. All right, I want to be the premier jazz musician in the city, not him. Well, you've come to the right place. We offer a product called Gangstalking, they'll say. And that jazz musician across town is a threat to your business. You want to be the premier jazz musician, not him. Well, we can set it up to where you become the premier jazz musician. You'll say, great, what do I do? Well, we'll set it up to where you're the only jazz musician in town. That way, you'll have no competition, and you can get all the album sales and all the local gigs. You can sell all the merchandise that you want. So what do? They wait for this other jazz musician, the rival, to do a live show. And then they hire somebody to go underneath the stage and take a buzzsaw and saw off the beam so the whole stage collapses with the jazz musician on it. Now your competition is eliminated. You won't be hearing from that jazz musician for a long time. Now you can go out and market your own self as a jazz musician. As a matter of fact, you'll be the next Miles Davis messing with us stalkers. If you pledge loyalty to us, Miles Davis won't have a thing on you by the time you're done with your jazz career. They'll be singing your praises from here to Albuquerque, New Mexico. You might put out a platinum album one day if you let us gang stalkers manage your career. Why? Because we could cause catastrophes in the lives of your rivals. So that makes going into gang stalking a good business decision. And that's what makes it dangerous, is because there's an incentive to participate in clandestine gang stalking. It's no longer just about using a signaling mechanism to disrupt potential harassers or threats. It's no longer just about communities policing themselves. It's no longer about that. Now it's about social engineering, business manipulation, and doing favors for people. Me, I've never been that kind of a guy. I've never been the kind of guy that will go to somebody and say, hey, can you do a favor for me? I'll pay you back at some point in the future. That's what I always thought was so unique about the mafia. They are a favor-based organization. You know, they don't necessarily, well, at least the original mafia that manifested in the United States in the 30s and 40s, they did a lot of favors for favors. And I always thought that was interesting, that these people actually did these favors and then stayed in touch with each other in various capacities until the next person needed a favor. and then that favor could be returned at some point in the future. And you just have a bunch of people doing things for each other on a favor-to-favor basis and returning of favors and stuff like that. And then, of course, if you don't return a favor, then that could make you look bad, or something bad could happen to you. It was just interesting how they didn't necessarily need to pay each other to do favors for them. They would just do it on their honor. And they would expect the favor in return on their honor. I always thought that was interesting, how that conglomerate was able to operate for so long off of a favor basis. Of course, they had business elements and investments that they did, but on the social level, it was favors for favors, and I'll return this and repay this, etc., etc. There's a lot of that going on in clandestine gang stalking too, but as the saying goes, money makes the world go round. You know, me personally, I've never been the kind of guy that liked to do favors for people, and I'm not the kind of guy that likes to ask for favors. My thing is, you know, I like transactions. If you ask me to do something, I expect something in return for my time. And similarly, if I ask you to do something, I'm ready up front to do the same. Okay, I like upfront business. It removes the guesswork and the uncertainty out of things. I mean, who's to say you do a favor for someone and says, I'll do a favor back for you? And you do this arduous task for them, and then at some point in the future you ask them, so about that return favor, can you do A, B, or C? And they go, no, I cannot. It's like, well, what about that arrangement we had? You asked me to do this for you, and you said if I needed something in the future, you'd return the favor. Why are you reneging on that promise? Now, they could make up any reason. They could say, they could change the narrative and say, well, I just thought you were doing that for me as a friend. I didn't know you wanted something in return for that. And then you end up feeling disgruntled and ripped off. And I hate that feeling of feeling ripped off. That's why I don't like people ripping off my business ideas and my graphic design ideas. So all you stalkers out there using Project Echelon to hack my data and rip off ideas, get lost. Get lost in the name of the United States Constitution. Get lost in the name of your God. I'm not going to say get lost in the name of the God, because I don't know what God you worship. And I don't want to know. There are so many different gods that people worship. Who's to say any one God is the God? Everyone has their perception as to who the God is. The creator. The judge, the savior. Everyone's God is their own savior. Everyone has their own perception of who their savior is. Everyone has that perception of who their own savior is. Who is the savior that's going to save you from this project that I run? Do you think your God is going to protect you from exposure from me, your host, Emmanuel, Isaiah Smith? When I expose your clandestine gang stalking campaigns, do you think that your deity is going to solve your problems when you get exposed for participating in clandestine gang stalking? I don't think so. I disagree with that. And it's as I often say, when you participate in this clandestine signaling mechanism, its purpose is obviously to get in people's way and disrupt people. A lot of you are doing gang stalking on behalf of other people. You may not know it. You're just following orders. You're just following the signal. You don't know that the signal you're following is being sent to you by some Joe Schmo that this guy knew 25 years ago who still has a grudge against him and is plugged into his gang stalking campaign and can mobilize stalkers against him. You see, you can get plugged into somebody's existing gang stalking campaign and try and organize cataclysms in that person's life, using his community and his surroundings as weapons. All you got to do is pledge loyalty or pay money to a liaison, and they'll plug you right in. Oh, you want this to happen to him? You want that to happen to him? You want to see him get hit by a car? I'm not judging. I'm not going to judge you. Just tell me what you want to happen, and we'll see if we can arrange it. You want to talk about sovereign citizenry? You want to talk about what it means to be a sovereign citizen? A sovereign citizen is a person that is born into this country or has migrated here from another country and is able and capable to make their own decisions in their own life. And being able to make your own decisions in your own life is in itself a gift. It's a gift from God or nature, whoever you choose to believe has given you that gift of self-sufficiency, of being able to move about freely, of being able to say what you want to say under the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. It's a gift from God or nature that no man, woman, child, company, or government can ever legally or lawfully infringe upon. It is called your inalienable rights. Okay, as I often call it, your inalienable rights and your inalienable liberties. All right. Now, the state does have authority. Okay, when you're born into this world, you are not born into a wasteland. You're not born into a jungle. You're not born into a desert. You're not born into a world that has nothing on it but plants and animals. You are born into a world that has governments, countries, territorial boundaries, constitutions, laws, statutes, ordinances, social norms, languages, technology, innovation, business, commerce, workers, learners, people of so many different socioeconomic backgrounds and so forth that you know, it would take you a while to count all of them. That's the world you're born into, and you got to get in line with it, or you don't get in line with it. Okay, I think a person learns at a very early age to be either pro-social or anti-social. Okay, different people have different approaches to what's pro-social and what's anti-social. Some people, by the time they hit 16, they look around and say, you know what, I don't like this world that I've been born into. I don't like society, so I'm not going to participate in it. Maybe they have a legit reason. Maybe they were plugged into a clandestine gang stalking campaign at some point in their life. Maybe they were reported to the right people by the right people at the right time in their life to make auxiliary A, B, and C say, you know what? To hell with that person. Let's throw them in a clandestine gang stalking campaign. How does the hospital industry benefit from gang stalking? How does the religious industry benefit from gang stalking? How does the automotive industry benefit from gang stalking? Okay. How does the military-industrial complex benefit from gang stalking? Mind you, I say military-industrial complex, not the military. The military-industrial complex. There is a very distinct designation between the two. We're talking the military-industrial complex. It's not to denigrate our armed forces. Do I believe that there's gang stalking that happens in the ranks of the armed forces? Yes. Gang stalking has permeated every crevice of American society. There is not a single component of American society that does not have gang stalking or its influence present at various points in time. But we're not talking about the military here. We're talking about the military-industrial complex. Okay? Hospitals benefit from clandestine gang stalking and its signaling mechanism because of all the derived injuries that come in. You would be surprised. Go to your local emergency room and just observe. You don't have to be there for treatment. Just go in and sit down and observe. Observe the kinds of people that go into the emergency room at various points in time throughout the day. Just take a day to do that for your own learning and information. Go to your local emergency room and just sit down and observe. You would be surprised how many of the persons that you see in the emergency room are suffering from injury or sickness or ailment that was caused by a third-party staging mechanism. These accidents are not random, they're not coincidental, they are staged. And with all the new people seeking treatment for their injuries, it boosts hospital revenues. Because if you have less people injured, there are less people seeking medical treatment. If you have more people injured, there are more people seeking medical treatment. You have to pay for that medical treatment. So if you are artificially harming or injuring people using a signaling and disruption mechanism, you are sending to the hospital more people than would normally be there. And because there is an increase in the patients that are going to these hospitals, there's an increase in hospital revenues. How does the religious establishment benefit from clandestine gang stalking campaigns? Well, if you get enough targeted individuals that think that they're being punished by God or Satan, and they don't realize that this is just simply an enterprise that is being perpetrated against them by other persons, or even the state, albeit in a covert manner, let me tell you something. If you're a targeted individual that don't know no better, a targeted individual that does think that it's divine retribution for something you've done, you're going to go to church. Oh, trust me, you're going to go to church. You're going to go right to church, as a matter of fact, and you're going to get on your knees in front of that altar and you're going to pray to God in the name of Jesus Christ to forgive you for whatever it was that got you thrown into that gang stalking campaign. And that pastor's going to look at you a little sideways if you did that arbitrarily. And he might tell you, well, maybe come back on Wednesday night when we're doing prayers at the altar. Don't do that on Sunday in front of the congregation. Why? Because there might be some clandestine gangstalking going on in that church. All right, go to your local church and ask somebody to pray for you about gangstalking and see what they say. Go to church and ask them to pray for you for community mobbing and see what they say. My opinion is they'll say, well, okay, you believe you're a gang stalker, or you're a targeted individual. Okay, you believe that that's what you're doing. That's Satan that's making you think that. There ain't no gang stalking. If there was, our Congress would surely talk about it. Our mass media would surely talk about it. Hell, our pastor would say something about it if there was some gang stalking going on. That ain't nothing but Beelzebub telling you that. And we will cast that thought out of you. Right? And then you go to church and now you're a tithe payer and you're helping that church raise revenues. Right? So a targeted individual going to church to try to escape their gang stalking campaign or trying to find some semblance of personal redemption with the Creator because they feel like they're being punished by the Creator. You understand? That could make a person run to their nearest church and try to make amends with their Creator, all the while paying tithing dollars. So if you make a giant portion of the population a targeted individual, that means a giant portion of the population is likely to go to church or something to try and right their past wrongs while paying that church tithing donations. So it raises revenue for churches as well. And some churches actually stage events. Some churches actually stage circumstances in the lives of their congregations to make it look as if God or Satan is rewarding or punishing them. And it could be the pastor, it could be the assistant pastor, it could be the minister or the dean of the church, or the deacon rather, who's plugged into gang stalking and causes stuff to happen in your life as a congregant, with the expectation that you'll tell other people and then it gets back to them. Or maybe you go to them yourself and say, you know what, this happened to me and that happened to me and it's just the strangest thing. And they go, oh yeah, it was God that did that. Or oh yeah, it was Satan that did that. In an attempt to sort of lock your mind in a constant state to where it expects everything that happens around them to be of a divine nature. And if you say, oh my God, Pastor, you're so right, or oh my God, Reverend, you're so right, or oh my God, evangelist, or deacon, or apostle, oh, you're so right. That did happen to me. And you said it might. You truly are a man of God that can predict the future. Meanwhile, in the back of his mind, he's saying, yeah, that gang stalking that I set up on you is what caused it. But if you want to give me credit for knowing the future and being a prophet or a signaler of God, go right ahead. But I know exactly why that happened to you. I know exactly why that happened to your husband. I know exactly why that happened to your kids. It's because I caused it. using a third-party surveillance and signaling protocol. I knew this was going to happen to you ahead of time because I was going to cause it the whole time. But see, the congregant doesn't know that. The congregant thinks this prediction that was made by this person was by revelation of the Holy Spirit, when it really happened by revelation of some clandestine gang stalkers. All right, you'd be surprised how many of these testimonies. You ever been to church and you hear somebody give a testimony and they say, well, it was so funny. I wanted that promotion at work and I didn't know if I was going to get it. And a buddy of mine said, well, I have a pastor that can work miracles. Why don't you come to church on Sunday and talk to my pastor after church, and he'll pray for you and he'll work you a miracle. And you say, well, I don't know about all that. I mean, I got other stuff I'd rather do. Listen, do you want that promotion? There ain't no harm in having our pastor pray over you. He might work you out a miracle. And you say, all right, I'll give it a try. It's worth a shot. And then you go to church with your buddy and he introduces you to the pastor and he goes, well, I'll tell you what. I want to give you a special prayer today. And for just $200, I will give you a powerful prayer. And you will get that promotion. So out of faith, and because you ain't been to church in a while, and as a donation to the church, you give the pastor $200 and he says a real powerful prayer over you. And he says it loud enough so that some gang stalkers that are still around can hear it. So what do? They arrange it to where you get that promotion, but not because you deserve it, but because something happens to the other people that are expecting to be your competition for that promotion. Ladies and gentlemen, clandestine gang stalking is not a meritocracy. Okay, it's not about who's better at what. It's about who has the better connections, who pays the most money, and who can do the most favors. That's all it's about. It's not about your personal capacity or your personal sense of justice or what's right or wrong in the world. Who do you know? What can you do for them? And what can they do for you? All right. Women do it too. Gang stalking is not an all-male fraternity. It is also a sorority. But when I refer to it as a fraternity, I'm talking about the full spectrum of persons that participate. Okay, let's say you have you're a woman and there's another woman who you envy. Okay, maybe it's her spouse or significant other or her husband that you wish was yours. Okay, you could have set it up to where if they're having a child, you can arrange for that woman's food to be poisoned so she'll have a miscarriage. All right, yeah, gang stalkers do stuff like that to each other. You can cause a woman to abort in a gang stalking campaign. All right, you don't want that woman that you dislike, or that woman that you have problems with, to have babies with the man that you want for yourself. You don't want the image of that man fathering her children and not yours. So you get together with some stalkers and you arrange for her to find herself in a car accident where she loses the baby. Then you, as a gang stalker, can sit back and cross your legs and say, well, that makes me feel a hell of a lot better that I was able to cause that cataclysm. You can set it up to where they have relationship problems. So maybe you can step in and take him from her one day. Yes, interpersonal relationship sabotage is a part of the clandestine gang stalking module of possibilities. It's a world inside of a world. And I, your host, Emmanuel Isaiah Smith, have experienced the full spectrum of that new world that's been created of clandestine gang stalking. I've experienced the full spectrum of it. So whoever my gang stalkers are, whoever it was that initiated this thing, they must really... I mean, if there's a word stronger than dislike, if there's a word stronger than hate, that is their attitude and disposition towards me, because I've experienced the full spectrum of it. I've experienced the relationship sabotage, the interpersonal relationship sabotage. I've experienced the workplace mobbing. I've experienced the derived car accidents. I've experienced the synchronized vehicular obstruction of movement. I've experienced the attack mechanism. I've experienced the germ spreading mechanism, in which one of your stalkers wants to see you get sick. So what the liaisons do is they signal sick stalkers to the targeted person's location often, over and over again, throughout the day, every day, until the target eventually contracts some sort of a bacterial infection from one of them. And then what they'll do is they'll videotape you coughing and sneezing one day, and they'll email the video to the person that orchestrated the whole thing and say, we got him. See him? You see him over there barfing and vomiting and wiping his nose? You said you wanted him sick? We signaled our sickest stalkers to him and got him sick. Okay, that's biological terrorism. All right, you're signaling sick people to a person with the instructions or the cause of constantly exposing that person to sick other persons to increase the chance that that person, that target, will get sick. Okay, that's what I call this program, Gang Stalking in Action, ladies and gentlemen. You are witnessing firsthand the actions. Now, keep something in mind. Unless a person who identifies as a targeted individual, as I do, until that person is able to wear a 24-hour video camera or something on their person at all times and catch every act of synchronization that they experience throughout the day, it would be impossible to document the entire holistic presence that a targeted individual experiences.
ladies and gentlemen, Gangstalking is a product. Okay, imagine a world where you could tap into a mechanism that uses either a payment system to a liaison or a mechanism of pride and fear. Which are two characteristics that don't always lead to success in human affairs. They don't always lead to success in human affairs. As a matter of fact, there's an old saying that says pride comes before the fall. Obviously, it's good to have pride in who you are. It's good to have pride in your race. It's good to have pride in your culture. It's good to have pride in your identity. It's good to have pride in your ethnicity. It's good to have pride in your culture and your heritage, in your country, and even in your countries of origin. I mean, not all blacks who were born into this country, well, actually none of them, have roots here. African American blacks have roots in Africa. Okay, the Caucasians have roots in Europe. The Asians here have roots in Asia. Okay, the Arabs here have roots in the Middle East. The persons of Jewish descent here have roots in Europe and the Middle East. The Native Americans have roots here, but they lost the American Indian War. So they lost this land. I mean, that's just simply how that war played out. And the victor of that war was the settlers. And they were able to repopulate this land with their progeny. Now, imagine a world where you can plug into a gang stalking campaign and get revenge on your enemies, or get a promotion at work, or perhaps find Mrs. Right. Right? Gang stalkers play matchmaker as well. If you're single and you're looking for a certain kind of woman, that certain kind of woman can be signaled to you by this program. Or you can be signaled to her and start a conversation with her. So there is a matchmaker element to this program and protocol. You want to intimidate somebody you don't like? You want to get in their way? You want to make them feel threatened? They got stalkers for that too. All right? Is the United States federal establishment capable of disrupting the disruptors? Yeah. Is the United States federal government capable of tackling gang stalking? Yes. Is the United States federal establishment capable of repealing gang stalking? Yes. Is the United States federal establishment capable of prosecuting people who participate in the criminal elements of gang stalking? Yes. And I hope personally that those days come sooner rather than later, because gang stalking is a tough cookie to coexist with. Either it beats you or you beat it. There's no coexisting. Okay? It's like a gladiatorial contest. in ancient Rome in medieval times. When you put two gladiators in it in the Colosseum, or if you put a gladiator in the Colosseum with a lion, a hungry lion, or a hungry pack of lions, or maybe you throw a whole bunch of gladiators in the ring and say, okay, you all fight it out and the last man standing wins their freedom. Because you know that's what gladiators were. They were convicted criminals who had to fight to the death to become freed. You had two convicted criminals fighting in the Colosseum, and the one that won that fight to that duel was set free into the world. Okay, when you put gladiators in the ring, when you put gladiators in there with lions, there's no coexisting. Okay, imagine two gladiators with armor and swords and bucklers standing in the middle of the Colosseum and say, you know what, let's not fight, let's shake hands. They can't do that. Because if they do that, then they're defying the emperor. The emperor has said you must fight to the death for your freedom, and that's what you'll do. If you both refuse to fight to the death, you'll both be hanged. So that duel was a necessity. That duel was something that had to happen or else. And there was simply no way around it. I mean, imagine two prize fighters, two MMA fighters, or two prize fighters that do boxing, or two taekwondo fighters, or two karate fighters, or maybe two Olympic judo participants, or even two professional wrestlers that do entertainment wrestling. Rather than doing what they're paid to do or they're commissioned to do, stand in the middle of the ring and just start shaking hands rather than competing. Well, you know what happens in that contest? They both lose. They're both disqualified. There is no win, lose, or draw in gang stalking. There is only win. It's man versus machine. Just like that movie, The Terminator. Y'all remember that movie, The Terminator, from the 1980s and 90s? You had a cybernetic organism that was the ultimate killer, that was sent back in time by a super computer that wanted to take over humanity and annihilate humanity. Okay, this supercomputer wanted to exterminate humanity. And then a boy named John Connor grows up to be a military conqueror type that ends up destroying this supercomputer and all of its hunter-killer cybernetic robots. And when the supercomputer saw that it was being defeated, it created a time portal, and it sent a cyborg back in time to kill this boy's mother so that he would never be born and that the computer itself would never be destroyed. So that's the premise of the Terminator franchise, was this man versus machine system of events where it was humans versus cyborgs. And these cyborgs were all interconnected by a supercomputer called Skynet. And it was up to John Connor, Kyle Reese, and Sarah Connor to defeat this robot. It was man versus machine. Man eventually won. But there were casualties and losses on the way. Gangstalking doesn't have to be like that. Gangstalking is man versus machine, ladies and gentlemen. Gangstalking is a machine. It's a social system. It's a fraternity. It's a cult. It's so many different things. It's so many different things. But it's ultimately a machine, a well-oiled, state-monitored and managed and taxpayer-funded machine. Okay, somebody might ask, well, Smith, you're in Miami, Florida. The population there is mostly Cuban. Do you believe that this person or this culture or that culture is more prone to participating in gang stalking than others? No. Okay, I do believe that Cuba is a state sponsor of terrorism, but that connection to clandestine gang stalking here in the United States remains to be seen and examined. You will experience gang stalkers across the cultural and racial spectrum and across the socioeconomic spectrum. And basically gang stalking, it manifests in accordance to where you are in the country. If you're in Hawaii, most of your gang stalkers are going to be of the Hawaiian ethnicity. If you're in Alaska, you'll probably see more Eskimo stalkers. If you're from Atlanta, most of your stalkers will be African American or Caucasian. If you're in somewhere like Miami, Florida, most of your stalkers are going to be Cuban. If you're in somewhere like in the Bronx or something, most of your stalkers are going to be Puerto Rican. All right, if you're in Racine, Wisconsin, most of your stalkers are going to be Caucasian. If you're in somewhere like Charleston, South Carolina, most of your stalkers are going to be black and Caucasian. All right, if you're in Cleveland, Ohio, your stalkers are going to be a wild mix of people because Cleveland, Ohio has a very diverse population. Gang stalking is a product, ladies and gentlemen. There is a follow the money trail to it. And yes, it is something that is offered as a product and as a service to people. People looking to get revenge. People looking to rip off business ideas. People looking to cause catastrophes in other people's lives. People looking to do harm to other people's interpersonal relationships. People looking to cause somebody legal problems. People looking to get somebody in some sort of a car accident. People looking to cause catastrophes in people's lives. People looking to harm other people's job opportunities. All these kinds of people can plug into clandestine gang stalking and use their whole menu of products and services against whoever they want to use it against. And how are these disruptions achieved? They're achieved with the mobilization of gang stalkers themselves, who are mobilized out into the community using a covert signaling mechanism, and they are told via electronic earpieces or via physical signaling and gesturing who the target is and how to confront that target. And it's always disruptive. I mean, you don't confront somebody with a covert mechanism to shake their hands and pat them on the back. If you are involved in a signaling mechanism where you are being pointed in the direction of a person, the goal of your being pointed into that person's direction is to either disrupt, harass, annoy, confront, or attack that person. And that is the long and short of the clandestine gang stalking mechanism. It is a bunch of useful idiot thugs that go from place to place using a signaling mechanism to pester people. And that's across the socioeconomic spectrum. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen.